Today we're taking a familiar name in microphones and we're adding a little bit of a new twist to it. We're looking at the Logitech Yeti GX. In the box you get the documentation, a USB-A to USB-C cable, a 3/8 to 1/4 inch thread adapter, the Yeti GX with attached mount, and a base to attach it to. So this is the Logitech Yeti GX. You can see G right here. It actually lights up when you have this plugged in. It's a nice design overall because it's open like this. It's good to be like on an arm or when it's on the stand, anything like that. This can be tightened up as well. You get a nice solid build on the microphone itself. The stand's actually plastic, but it's a solid plastic. It doesn't feel chintzy in any way. On the bottom of the stand, you have a 1/4 inch thread to hook up to your base or to a microphone arm. That's also what the adapter's for. The base is actually a really good weight and it's completely covered with rubber footing on the entire bottom of the base. So it'll be really non-slip if you decide to use it, which again, don't use an arm. And when you look at the microphone itself, first you have the fuzzy windscreen. If you take that off, this is what the mic actually looks like. So you can see the capsule through the grating here. Also nice metal grating worth noting. Pop that back on because he's shy. On the bottom of the mic, you have the USB-C port, but conspicuous by its absence is actually a headphone jack for zero latency monitoring. Pretty much every USB microphone has this. I don't understand why it's not on this one. And on the back of the microphone, you have a gain knob. It's got a nice rubber coating, so it's really grippy and easy to move around. It's clicky too, so you know when you're going between values. Now the whole thing clicks in too. You can hear it a little bit. Well, maybe you can't hear it, but I can hear it. And I don't necessarily know what that does, so we'll have to look at that when we get it plugged in. And then beneath the microphone, you have the mute button. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get this bad boy set up and hear what it sounds like. So here it is all set up, and I've already noticed a couple of key things. First off, this is probably the prettiest quality of RGB that I've ever seen on a microphone. The colors coming through on the bottom and on the logo are super vibrant and mega accurate. I don't know what mega accurate is, but very accurate. And you'll notice despite its pill shape and the history of the Yeti microphone, this is not a condenser microphone, it's dynamic. That's why I'm speaking into the end of it. And if I have only one complaint about the layout of the microphone, it's actually where the gain knob is. Not because of its actual location. It's in a nice inconspicuous location. It's easy to get to. That's not a problem, but there's actually an LED strip on it as well that gives you some indications. So in the normal gain mode, you'll see that the light is green. And if the light strip turns red, that means that it's clipping. So you know that you got to lower the gain a little bit. But now I can't really see that without kind of backing off of the microphone, which means I'm going to be speaking less loudly into the microphone in the first place. So you never really see when you're clipping when you do something like that. But honestly, that's a really nitpicky thing because that's a feature they didn't really need to add on that if they didn't want to. But a feature that they did add that I really like is the reason that that knob clicks in. It's actually the microphone's smart audio lock. So once you're happy with the gain on the microphone, you press it in and then you can't accidentally adjust it when you're moving the mic around or anything like that. I think that is a fantastic feature. Okay, so now we're in the Logitech G Hub software and you can see it's very simplistic right off the bat. You just got to select your microphone. If you have a firmware update or something like that, it'll highlight down here. I had that when I first set it up, got it all up to date and we're good to go. So click on it and then it brings you into here. So the first thing that we're looking at here is the blue voice effects. And all that really is a set of presets that set up all of the different effects like EQ and all those different things based on certain stereotypical presets. So right now we're just in the Boom Arm Natural preset. I didn't want to mess around with anything, but let's have a look at some of the other ones. So if I go to the Boom Arm Broadcaster and click there, I can see a few things changed. I see the high pass changed right off the bat. You'll also see a couple of other changes, some specific raises to both your bass and high frequency. And I know what you're saying. Hey, where's the high frequency? It's just there. Sorry, it's the only thing I'm blocking the entire time. Now, it's a pretty simplistic EQ. It's only 3 bands, so if you're looking for something a little bit more robust, then I would suggest if you're using this in OBS, use something like the Reaper plugins and use their EQ instead. If we look at the Boom Arm Classic preset, this is kind of somewhere in between Natural and Broadcaster. It's kind of just brought the smile a little bit more narrow. And then if I bring in the Boom Arm More Bass, it really cranks up the low. I don't know. Is this what I sound like? Like, which one sounds the best to you between the 4? Let me know. These presets down here are all based on whether you have the microphone set down on the desk. So it'll give you things like more input gain and stuff like that. So if you look into this area here, these are the manual controls for the things that actually make up these presets. So you've got a high pass filter here. You can turn all these things on and off too, but you can set them just by dragging the faders. The EQ, like we said, it's just a 3-band EQ, but you can mess around with the low, the mids, and the highs. And I think for most people who aren't real audiophiles, that this is probably plenty. You know the basics of what's happening on the low end, what's happening on the high end, what's happening on the mids. So you know how to adjust those and deal with it. I think the only one that might do this a little better is the Beacon software, just because it actually tells you what every spot is. It gives you kind of a guide when you have multiple bands and you know exactly what you're adjusting as far as the sound of your voice. And if we go into the signal cleanup here, we get more stuff. So we get noise reduction here. So I can turn the noise reduction on, and then you can adjust things from here, and then you can turn on the noise gate. And that should remove any hums or any other room ambience that you might have going on. And here's the compressor. And again, I'm not a big fan of this version of the compressor because I know what I need in terms of the actual numbers. I want a 4:1 compression ratio. I know the attack and release times that I want. I know all of that stuff, and there's nothing to set here, and there's no way to go to an advanced version of it. But what's really cool is you also have a de-esser and a depopper over here, and a limiter. And these two especially are things that are really difficult to deal with in post because it just makes your voice sound so processed if you run something like that. So to have something that's doing this for you on the mic level is a much better option. Now, if we go from blue voice to effects, we have a lot of other options. So now we have some actual voice effects. So there's a lot of preset effects here, and you know how I like to play with toys like this. So we're going to start with the
alien, and this is basically exactly what I sound like if I'm an alien. But the fun thing is I don't hear any of these because I can't listen through this thing, which is still a little bit mind-blowing to me. So I guess I'll have to listen back after and laugh along with you.
This is the wild voice. I couldn't even imagine what this one might be, but I'm looking forward to finding out.
This one is DJ Robot, and that's somehow exciting to me. I don't know exactly what this means.
And now we have demons, so I'm gonna get ya.
And this is Dream. I imagine it's calm, chill. Hopefully I'm not making a fool out of myself by saying that.
And Electro Beast, man, like a lot of these things are coming out of a very fun Saturday morning cartoon from the 80s. And then you have Ethereal. I imagine we're gonna have a little bit of an echo, a little reverb going on in this one.
And then we got Fishbowl, and I don't know if it's empty or full fishbowl, so I either sound like I'm drowning or just standing within glass.
And then this is the high pitch. This is the sound that I make when I answer phones when people call me ma'am.
And this is the low pitch. This is what I try to think I sound like.
And this is the haunted. I've never been here. I died before all of these microphones came out, and now I'm a ghost who tells me what to buy. Ooh.
And this is Helium Chipmunk. I don't know if Helium Chipmunk is higher pitched than regular Chipmunk, but my feeling is if the Chipmunks could come out with their own albums, why are you messing with their voice and adding helium to the mix?
This is Robot. I'm very curious to know what the difference between Robot and DJ Robot is. Is this like Accountant Robot?
Well, Sentinel, I hope it's like X-Men Sentinel. I don't really know, but I really can't wait to find out. Sinister, I imagine this just sounds like my normal voice.
Dual pitch, I don't even know what this means. Is it high pitch and low pitch? Is it medium pitch?
Subconscious. This is the thing I often ignore when I buy new gear.
Stage robots are on our third different robot now, for those of you keeping track.
Whisper. I imagine I'd be able to do this without using a filter.
I mean, witness protection in case you're streaming, but then the Gambino family comes into work.
But you can see here you have an area for custom effects too. So you can come into here and from primary voice, secondary voice, flanger, chorus, you can change some ambience options as well. You can create your own versions of any of these. So that's what a lot of these are. You take the robot voice and then add something and then it becomes DJ Robot. Take this robot voice, add a little something, it becomes Synth Robot and so on and so forth. You'll see this in a lot of the places here. You have mic tests so you can actually record yourself. And then you'll see this on a lot of places on this app. It gives you the opportunity to record yourself and then listen back without anything kind of getting in the way so you can hear exactly what it sounds like. So I can sit in here and talk and I'll say, hey, test 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. I'm testing things. Then you stop it and then you can sit in here and talk and I'll say, hey, test 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. I'm testing things. So you get the idea. All right, so if you go to the next thing, this is actually our sampler. So you have a bunch of different sounds that you can just play out from here. I'm kind of bummed at the way this is laid out because they could have made this a soundboard or something fun to have, or even better, have a shortcut that you could apply to these so you could put them on something like a stream deck or a loop deck so you could play them out from the software but using the buttons instead of having to go in and click on things. But let's try some of them out. We got Air Raid. Ooh, some of these are pretty long, so we don't want them to be too crazy. We can go to this next one. Eastern Sands, again, very long. I don't know what this is, but maybe we like it. It's cool because they're longer and they're ambient, so you can kind of set a scene for yourself, I guess. And the Enchanted Meadow. We'll just do a few seconds of each of these. I don't want to waste everybody's time more than I already am. Haunted House. Southern Moonlight. This, you know, the sound that a moon makes? This is that sound. If you listen really careful, you'll hear the moon. But not the dark side of the moon. That's an album. Subaquatic. Is this helping? Is this helping set the mood? And then the Catacombs. Is this setting the mood? I don't know. And then they got a bunch of expressions, so you can just hit things like this.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello? Hooray! Huh. What? Wow.
And then you got expressions in a bunch of different languages. So we have Chinese.
很棒啊.
Let's just celebrate in all the different languages. Italian.
Viva!
Russia. I didn't know they celebrated, but here we go.
Hurrah!
Then you got 2 versions of Spanish.
Hurrah!
Latin Spanish and Spanish Spanish.
Hurrah!
And then down here you got tons of different sound effects. So here's an air horn. Applause. A battle horn. Ooh. We're letting this one play out. No, I can't. I can't be so wasteful with time. Bleep. Bleep. Ooh. I hope that's what I think it is. Like the... Correct. Distorted laugh. Yes. Draw sword. Shing. So I couldn't possibly think about using this as a way to trigger these things on stream. I wouldn't be going in and picking an individual thing and then pressing play. Like, there needs to be a better way to do this. And maybe there is, and I just don't know. So if you do know, let me know down in the comments. And if you do, I'll go. If you don't, I'll go. Jump. Laser. And lastly... TKO. Thank you for indulging me during that. And then the last thing we're going to go to is the Light Sync app. So this gives you a ton of options for the lighting on the microphone, and it'll sync you up to other Logitech items that you happen to have that connect to G Hub. So if I click on sync lighting options here, it'll have all of your different devices here. Right now, I only have this as a Logitech device in there, but if you had a mouse or anything like that, which, hey, maybe I'll look into. And then you can choose whether or not you want them synced or not. Then from here, you have your presets. So right now we're in a color cycle, but then we have a fixed one, breathing, color wave, pulsar point, screen sampler. Oh, that's pretty cool. So if, for example, we had something more colorful, which I don't happen to have anything, maybe just as an example, I'll put up this and I'll just put up an all white thing and you can see actually the lights turned white. So that's pretty cool. Like if you're playing a game or something like that, this will go along with the game. I think that's pretty fun. And from here, you can actually choose where on the screen it's actually doing the sample. I think this could have a lot of cool effects. Maybe I'll experiment with it a little bit in a short. So there's a lot of things that you can mess with in here. And if you go into freestyle, you can actually look and you can see how many points you can change the color. So you have one single color that you can do for the G here, and then you have 12 colors that you can do around here. So you can make a nice little pattern of any colors that you want. It's really cool that there's so many LEDs in there that you can mess around with. And then if you go under animations, you have some different effects. So here's the red, white, and blue one for my American viewers and my British viewers and French viewers. And I don't know, red, white, and blue is, it's on a lot of flags. I'm Canadian. We got red and white. The blue will be a placeholder. And what else do we got here? Contrastic. What is that? Ooh, that's pretty fun. So the animations on here, you'll notice too, are really smooth. There's no choppiness between any of the movement. And again, I think it's my absolute favorite in terms of straight up RGB. And we have lightning. What does that look like? Oh, that's fun. I don't know how well that's showing up for you. I'm realizing now that you're not seeing this bottom part as much as I would like you to, but there you go. So that's the lightning effect. That's pretty cool. Ocean wave. That's super zen. That's a good one for somebody doing some ASMR or something like that. And then verticool. Oh. Yep. And there's a bunch of different ways to even customize that. And then you have the option to make your own animation. Now this will get you a little bit more in the weeds, but again, you have these options over here. So you can choose when the colors happen on this timeline, and you can choose what kind of transitions over here and speeds and everything else that you might want to do. You set them up, you save them, and then it'll show up in the same spot where the other presets are. Okay, so you've been listening to me on this microphone for a while, so I don't feel like I have to do the test phrases, but I feel compelled to do the test phrases. And the main reason is when I go back and if I decide that it needs some extra processing and post and things like that, I want to have something that I can quickly just go in rather than just grabbing a clip from somewhere else in the video. So let's just go ahead and do it. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and saw a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. All right, so I'm going to go back and have a listen to the raw audio, and I'll be right back to tell you what I think. Okay, so just listening to the mic test where I turned off all of the processing did not sound particularly great, if I'm being really honest. It was mid-high for me. I wasn't particularly happy with that. It was just kind of really disappointing knowing what the old Yetis used to sound like for me. However, when we had the processing turned on, and just the bare minimum, just throwing on one of those presets, it sounded really good. But we're going to do something with a little bit of a twist this time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare this processed audio to processing that I did in post on DaVinci Resolve Studio. you. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. This is definitely not a plug-and-play microphone. You need some sort of processing to bring it up to its best potential, be it G Hub or any other processing that you might choose. But be mindful of that processing if you're not doing it in post, because what that means for you is it's going to be a little bit more bandwidth on your computer when you're actually recording or streaming or whatever. Now, in terms of price, the MSRP on the Logitech Yeti GX is $149.99 US. I think that's a decent price point for the microphone, just given the fact that it's one of the bigger brands in gaming and things like that. But there are mics out there that, just in terms of being a good quality microphone that's just plug and play, are better bang for your buck. So what are you getting for the $149.99? You're getting a really pretty mic. We've talked about the lights and just the overall sleek design. It's fantastic. You're getting a decent software, not a great software. There's a lot of flaws with it. I don't like how many steps it takes to play any of the samples that are available on the G Hub software, and I just found the overall processing really simplistic. That being said, it did a really good job making the mic sound good, so problem solved. But the other thing that G Hub has failed to do so far is catch up with the other software solutions that have things like mixing and all this other stuff available to it. And to me, the biggest issue now is the fact that they actually have a solution as far as simplifying the overall use of G Hub. They own Loopdeck. I'd like to think that they're working on a plugin for it, but they haven't announced anything as far as I know yet. But once you can take a lot of the functionality of that software and throw it onto something like a Loopdeck, then you've got something really good, because that is your voice transformer, that's a soundboard, and any other controls that you want. You could change the lighting, do whatever. I think that would be a fantastic thing for them to do. So Logitech people who are watching this video right now, you guys go and you take care of that. I'm going to talk to the rest of the viewers for a minute. All right, for the rest of you, I need you to stick around to the end, because I just really hurt my retention by sending a bunch of people away. And while you're sticking around, you might as well hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when I have new videos coming out. And here I am, Future Joe, inserting myself to another video that I shot before I started the review matrix. Now, thankfully, I think I did a pretty good job breaking down each of the 5 categories in this one, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time rehashing that, and I'm just going to put up the scores for you. All in all, it's a pretty decent score, but there is room to grow. Now, the good news is they can actually do it. Some minor software updates and some integration with its hardware or even third-party hardware would make this thing superb. And let me know what you think about the Yeti GX down in the comments. Is this worthy of the Yeti name? That's going to be it for this video. Why don't you check out one of these videos? Both microphones with interesting software solutions. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, let's get to work.